I caught my girlfriend of 2 years cheating with my best friend of 20 years. Throwaway for obvious reasons because several friends use Reddit. I'm still in shock and my thoughts are all over the place, so sorry if this comes out as a jumbled mess. Never thought I'd be posting something like this, like ever. I, male 32, have been dating Molly, female 29, for just over 2 years. We met through a hiking group and things were going really well, at least I thought they were. We'd actually started talking about moving in together, though I was a bit hesitant because my college girlfriend cheated on me, and that whole situation fucked me up for a while with trust issues. Yeah, ironic, I know. But Molly always seemed different. She was always talking about how cheating was the worst thing someone could do in a relationship. She literally broke up with her ex because he was flirting with other girls on Instagram. At least that's what she told me. The other person in this nightmare is Derek, male 33, who has been my best friend for 20 years. We met in middle school when I was the new kid. We were roommates in college, and I even helped him get his current sales job at a different division of my company about 5 years back. I was the best man at his wedding to Patricia. They have a 2-year-old son named Tommy, who I'm godfather to. So here's what happened. I had to go on a business trip to Asia for 2 weeks. Before I left, Molly mentioned having some issues with a broken pipe in her apartment. Derek offered to check in on her and help out if needed. I thought nothing of it. I mean, why would I? We've all hung out together plenty of times before. I ended up finishing my work early and came back a day before I was supposed to, thinking I'd surprise Molly. I got to her place around 11 p.m. and saw Derek's car in her driveway. At first, I just thought he was still helping with the pipe, but something felt off. I had a key to her place, so I let myself in quietly. The living room was empty, but I could hear voices from her bedroom. I thought maybe they were looking at the bathroom pipes. Her bathroom connects to her bedroom. I opened the door and I just stood there frozen. I literally couldn't process what I was seeing. They were in her bed, together, half naked. Derek started saying it wasn't what it looked like. Molly just burst into tears, pulling the sheets around herself. I couldn't even think. My mind just went completely blank. I asked how long this had been happening. Derek claimed it was just that night and a terrible mistake. Molly said she had been feeling lonely while I was gone and things just happened. I asked Derek if Patricia knew where he was. He started begging me not to tell her. This man has a wife and a 2-year-old son at home, and he's in my girlfriend's bed. And they're both looking at me like I'm the problem for walking in on them. I didn't yell or scream or anything dramatic. I just turned around and walked out. They both called after me, but I ignored them. Derek followed me to the driveway and grabbed my arm. I shook him off and only said, "We're done," before driving away. And yes, I know that sounds like movie dialogue, but that's literally all I could say in the moment. I was too in shock to come up with anything else. I just drove around for like 2 hours after that. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go anywhere. I just drove. Since then, I've basically gone radio silent. Blocked both their numbers, blocked them on all social media, took a week off work. Thank God we work in different divisions so I don't have to see his face, and ignored the doorbell the multiple times Molly came by. I just can't face either of them right now, or maybe ever. I'm still processing everything, and sometimes it hits me again that the two people I trusted most just completely betrayed me, and I have to sit down because I can't breathe. Yesterday, I got a call from our mutual friend Justin, male, 32. He felt I should know that Derek showed up at our regular Thursday bar night. Apparently, he got drunk and was bragging about sleeping with Molly. Justin showed me screenshots of texts Derek sent to our friend group, saying Molly was easy and that I couldn't satisfy her. Who the fuck says that about someone they supposedly care about? And what kind of asshole brags about cheating with his best friend's girlfriend to their mutual friends? Did he think they wouldn't tell me? I can't even wrap my head around someone being that shitty. Justin also mentioned something weird. Derek had apparently been accessing Molly's Instagram account, liking old photos of her from before they were caught. That's when something clicked for me. Years ago, I helped Derek set up his cloud storage. He's the kind of guy who uses the same password for everything and never updates anything. And I suddenly remembered that he made me an emergency access person that he's probably never removed. So now I'm sitting here wondering if I should look. On one hand, it feels invasive. On the other hand, after what he did and the way he's bragging about it to our friends, all bets are off as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I could find out if this really was a one-time thing like they claimed, or if there's more to the story. But do I really want to know if they've been doing this behind my back for months or longer? But how can I move on if I don't know the full truth? I haven't been able to sleep properly since it happened. I just keep seeing them together every time I close my eyes. God, I hate them both so much right now. I also don't know what to do about Patricia. She deserves to know her husband is cheating on her, but I don't know how to tell her. I've known her for 7 years now. How do you tell someone that kind of news? But if I don't tell her and she finds out I knew, that would make me almost as bad as Derek. My mind is just going in circles and I can't think straight anymore. Edit. To those asking if I've confronted Molly again, no. She's left a bunch of voicemails before I blocked her, crying and saying she wants to explain. But what is there to explain? I saw them. And anyways, Derek's text to the friend group make it clear this wasn't some one-time mistake. Edit 2. And yes, I know Patricia deserves to know what kind of man she's married to. I'm just trying to figure out the right way to tell her since she's also been a friend for years. I don't want to just text her, hey, your husband is cheating on you, but I also don't know if I can handle a face-to-face conversation right now. Edit 3. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To clarify about the cloud access, when I helped him set it up years ago, he added me as a trusted contact who could request access in an emergency. I'm pretty sure he's forgotten all about it because he's literally never changed any of his security settings on anything. I just checked and the access is still valid. And for those saying it's illegal to access his account, I get what you're saying, but this guy has destroyed my life and is now bragging about it to our friends. I need to know the truth. Edit 4. A lot of you are telling me to just move on and forget about them both. I wish I could, but we have the same friend group and work for the same company. Different divisions, but still. Plus, I need to decide whether to tell Patricia or not, and having more information might help me make that decision. Now for the first update. So it's been about a week since my last post, and holy shit, my entire life has basically imploded even more. First, thanks to everyone who commented with support and advice. I honestly wasn't expecting that many responses. Sorry for the late update. I've barely been sleeping and everything's been a complete shit show. After debating it for like 2 days and ignoring a bunch more calls/texts from both of them, I finally decided to check Derek's cloud account using that emergency access I mentioned. I know some people in the comments said it might be illegal or an invasion of privacy or whatever, but honestly, after what he did and how he was bragging about it to our friends, I just needed to know if they were telling the truth about it being a one-time mistake. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. I ended up spending the entire weekend going through messages, and what I found was awful. This wasn't a one-time thing at all. There were messages going back at least 2 months. 2 months. Including during that business trip to Chicago back in March, not even the Asia trip, the one before that. And the things they said about me, God. Derek called me clueless and easy to manipulate, and Molly was complaining about stuff in our relationship that I had no idea were even issues. Like apparently I'm boring in bed. We literally had what I thought was an amazing sex life. She always seemed happy. I thought we were happy. I feel like such an idiot now looking back. But that's not even the worst part, if you can believe it. As I kept digging through his cloud, I found evidence that Derek has been cheating on Patricia throughout their entire marriage. There were messages with at least 3 other women over the past 3 years. One affair apparently started right after Patricia gave birth to Tommy. Your wife just had your baby and you're out screwing around with some random woman from your gym. I also found photos of Molly that she clearly didn't know were being taken, like creepy secret photos from their meetups. It made me feel physically sick, thinking about how I introduced them and trusted them both completely. And yes, I know going through someone's private messages might seem wrong to some people, but honestly, after what they did, I don't really care about their privacy anymore. They sure didn't care about betraying mine. I called my sister Mary, female, 38, because I needed advice. She told me I should think about what to do with all this information. She was worried about me getting accused of hacking or whatever, but also said that if it was her, she'd want to know if her husband was cheating. I realized Patricia deserved to know what kind of man she's married to. I spent like 20 minutes just staring at my phone with a draft message to Patricia open. I must have rewritten the first sentence 5 different times. How do you even start that conversation? Hey, so your husband is a serial cheater. I almost closed the whole thing and just walked away. But then my phone buzzed with a notification. Derek messaging our friend group about going out drinking again like nothing had happened, acting like everything was normal. That made my decision for me. I took a deep breath and hit send. I attached screenshots of some key conversations. Not the most explicit stuff, but enough to prove what was happening. I told her I had more information if she wanted it, and that I was sorry to be the one telling her this. Then I turned off my phone and took a sleeping pill because I knew I wouldn't sleep otherwise. Holy shit, the next day was absolute chaos. I turned my phone back on to find that Derek had called me 30 times in a row. His voicemails got progressively more threatening, talking about how I hacked him and invaded his privacy and how he was going to sue me. Funny how now he cares about privacy after sending our friends texts bragging about sleeping with my girlfriend. Patricia confronted him with the screenshots I sent, and she kicked him out of the house that night. She even called his parents to tell them what happened, and they refused to let him stay with them. Justin told me Derek's parents were already disappointed in him for cheating on his college girlfriend years ago. Molly showed up at my apartment on Tuesday. Just showed up, no warning, and started crying as soon as I opened the door. She said Derek had manipulated her and pursued her relentlessly, that she still loved me and that it was just physical with Derek. But the weird thing is, she seemed more worried about what our friends were saying than about actually losing me. She kept asking if I had told everyone what happened and who knew about it. When I pointed this out, she got defensive and said I was twisting her words. I just told her to leave. I can't even look at her without seeing them together in her bed. Patricia sent me a message thanking me for telling her the truth. She said she had suspected Derek might be cheating before, but never had proof. And this wasn't his first indiscretion, but it would definitely be his last. She's already talking to a lawyer about divorce and custody arrangements for Tommy. Our friend group has basically fractured over this whole thing. Most people are on my side, but there are a few who think I went too far by ruining Derek's life, like somehow I'm the bad guy for exposing what he did. Justin and a few others have completely cut Derek off, but some are still hanging out with him. It's all a mess. I heard from Justin that Derek's been placed on probation at work after missing client meetings and showing up hungover. He got kicked out of his motel because of noise complaints, and now he's sleeping in his car because Patricia froze their joint accounts pending the divorce. I know I should probably feel bad about how far Derek has fallen, but honestly, I don't. He made his choices. He betrayed not just me, but Patricia and Tommy too. And he's still not taking responsibility, just blaming everyone else for his problems. I'm just trying to figure out how to move forward. It's hard when the two people you trusted most completely betray you like this. Edit. Since so many people are asking about legal issues with accessing his account, I didn't hack anything. Years ago, he set me up as his emergency contact for his cloud and never removed it. I literally just clicked request access and he never denied it because he probably doesn't even check those notifications. Edit 2. To those saying I should have just moved on without telling Patricia, are you serious? She deserved to know her husband was a serial cheater. Now for the second update. So it's been about 3 months since all that shit went down, and I figured I should probably update you guys since so many people commented and sent messages. First, thanks to everyone for the support and advice on my previous posts. It honestly helped more than you know during what was basically the worst time of my life. For those who don't remember or didn't see my previous posts, caught my GF of 2 years cheating with my best friend of 20 years, found out it had been going on for months, discovered he was a serial cheater, including on his wife who has their 2-year-old son, exposed everything, and watched his life implode while he blamed everyone but himself. So here's where things stand now. Work has actually been a bright spot, weirdly enough. I threw myself into projects to distract from the whole situation and ended up getting a promotion last month. My boss said I was demonstrating exceptional focus during personal challenges, which I guess is corporate speak for functioning despite your life falling apart, lol. The promotion came with a pretty decent raise, which has been helpful since I've started therapy, which is not cheap, by the way. The therapy has been uncomfortable, but necessary, I guess. My therapist keeps bringing up how this situation makes my old trust issues worse. I guess I never really dealt with that stuff from when my college girlfriend cheated, but it's helping me process everything, and I'm starting to sleep better finally. I've even gone on a few casual dates. Nothing serious at all, and honestly, more because my sister Mary kept insisting I get back out there than because I actually wanted to. I'm still not ready to trust anyone in that way. But it was nice to just have dinner with someone who doesn't know anything about my personal problems. Patricia, Derek's wife, and I text occasionally. She's filed for divorce, obviously, and is focused on Tommy. She actually thanked me again last week for telling her the truth. She said finding out was painful, but not knowing would have been worse. Heard through Justin that Derek lost his job about a month after my last post. He missed a bunch more client meetings and then showed up drunk to some big presentation with potential investors. His boss finally had enough and fired him on the spot. Can't say I'm surprised or particularly sympathetic given everything. I ran into Molly at the grocery store about 6 weeks ago. Talk about awkward. She tried again to explain herself, starting with how Derek manipulated her. But honestly, I just didn't care anymore. Like I felt almost nothing looking at her. Not anger, not sadness, just nothing. I told her I hoped things work out for her and walked away while she was still talking. It was weirdly freeing. I really thought the whole nightmare was finally behind me until last Tuesday evening. I was leaving the gym around 8 p.m. and noticed a car parked way in the corner of the lot that looked familiar. As I got closer, I realized someone was sleeping inside. It was Derek. I know this sounds like some dramatic movie scene, but I swear to God this actually happened exactly like this. I stood there for a minute, just processing. His car was filled with stuff. Clothes, fast food bags, empty bottles. He'd clearly been living in it for a while. I debated just walking away, but something made me tap on the window. He startled awake, and holy shit, he looked rough. Red eyes, this patchy beard, wearing what looked like the same clothes from my last post. He seemed embarrassed for like half a second before his expression hardened. When I asked what was going on, he told me it was just a temporary situation until he gets back on his feet. He mentioned his car was about to be repossessed. When I asked about his job, he admitted he couldn't find work because Patricia had supposedly turned everyone against him, including potential employers and his own parents. Then he had the audacity to blame me for overreacting to one mistake. I reminded him that I found years of cheating in those messages. Not just with Molly, but multiple women, including right after Patricia gave birth. He didn't even deny it. His tone completely changed then. He started pleading, saying he had nowhere to go, no money, nothing. Then he asked if he could crash on my couch, just until he gets back on his feet. I just stood there, thinking about our 20 years of friendship, all those memories from middle school through college and beyond. The guy was basically my brother, and now he was living in his car, because he couldn't keep it in his pants. He promised he'd make it up to me someday and kept saying he had nobody else. I told him he should have thought about consequences before betraying everyone who cared about him and walked away. He kept calling after me, but I didn't look back. But that wasn't the end of it. The next evening I get home from work and guess who's standing outside my apartment building? Yep, Derek. He must have followed me home from work or something, which is honestly pretty creepy. He looked even worse than the day before. Same clothes, clearly hadn't showered, and I could smell alcohol on him at 6 p.m. He started with apologies, then switched to guilt trips about our friendship, then started making weird comments that sounded almost like threats about making me sorry if I didn't help him. One of my neighbors called building security because he was getting louder and making a scene. They escorted him out while he was still yelling about how I owed him after 20 years of friendship. I called Patricia after that to warn her about Derek's behavior since he seemed unstable. She told me he hasn't even tried to see Tommy or pay any child support, despite court orders. What kind of father just abandons his kid like that? But the final confrontation happened 3 days later. I was at work when security called to say someone was causing a scene in the lobby. I knew immediately who it was. When I got downstairs, Derek was sitting in a chair sobbing. Not like movie crying, but ugly crying with snot and everything. He'd clearly been drinking again, but seemed more sad than aggressive. He told me he had literally nowhere to go. His car had been repossessed the day before and he'd spent the night on a park bench. Then he showed me his phone with messages from Patricia's lawyer about potential jail time for missing child support payments. He begged for help, for old time's sake, and honestly, for a second, I almost felt bad for him. I remembered us as kids playing video games in his parents' basement. I remembered him standing beside me at my dad's funeral. For a split second, I almost considered helping him. But then I remembered finding him in bed with Molly. The messages where they mocked me behind my back. Him bragging to our friends about it afterwards. I told him I couldn't let him stay with me because I could never trust him. But I gave him information for a shelter downtown that has an employment program. He got mad at first, saying he needed real help from a real friend, not some homeless shelter pamphlet. I told him real friends don't betray each other the way he betrayed me and Patricia, and that this was the only help I was offering. He finally broke down completely then, crying about how he destroyed everything good in his life. I left him with the shelter information and walked away. I felt both relieved and sad at the same time, which is hard to explain. Patricia texted me yesterday to say Derek did eventually go to the shelter and has apparently started their program. So at least there's that. It's weird watching someone who was basically my brother completely self-destruct like this. Part of me feels satisfied that he's facing consequences for what he did, but another part feels sad for the friendship that's gone forever. I don't regret exposing the truth. Patricia and Tommy deserved better, and so did I. But the whole experience has taught me a lot about boundaries and loyalty. I'm still working through everything in therapy, but I'm in a much better place now than I was 3 months ago. Life goes on, I guess. Edit. Since multiple people are asking, no, I don't feel guilty about not letting Derek stay with me. The guy literally destroyed my relationship, betrayed 20 years of friendship, cheated on his wife multiple times, and abandoned his kid. Why would I let someone like that into my home? Edit 2. To those saying I should have helped him more, are you serious? The guy hasn't even tried to see his son or pay child support. I gave him information for a shelter with resources. What more am I supposed to do for someone who betrayed me in the worst possible way?